Speak Your Truth with none other than yours truly, Vivett Dukes, and my lovely husband.
John Dukes. No, John Dukes.
We're giddy tonight. It's our anniversary.
Yes. Yes. We're
really excited. Yep. 4 years together. And so it's a really special occasion because we were married while John was incarcerated. So we actually got married in a prison, and it was only us there, and not even our witness showed up. So we're going to walk you through like our story tonight. I'm not going to give everything away up front, but we thought it would be great to just tell you a little bit more about ourselves, invite you into our journey, more about how Speak Your Truth got started, and why we care so passionately about supporting families who are facing incarceration, particularly marriages that are going through incarceration, because definitely our marriage has been tested as a result of us being married while John was inside, and what it tried to do with our marriage. It really wasn't all great. And I know, social media can be a platform where sometimes people just want to show all the good things that are going on. But I'm hopeful tonight that through our transparency, John and I, about some of the hardships that we've gone through in our marriage, as well as the successes we've experienced, will be encouraging. Go ahead. You look like you want to say something.
I'm also being interviewed, so in a sense,
you?
well, I'm not. I thought you was going. You're the. Okay, well, you know what? There's a lot to say about marriage, as you can see, I don't know, Vivett and I, we don't rehearse anything. That's one great thing about us being together and doing and having this platform. Like today we were riding, and it's hard to trick Vivett. It's hard to surprise us sometimes because, like anybody, when you live together, you even though you know the person, there's certain things they know about you as well. So they're looking, and even if it's not like you're spying, I mean, like a stalking way or intrusive way, people are aware of things when you're around them. So when she see me move a certain way, or when I see her move a certain way, I have to throw a blind eye to it sometimes. Like if I see her bringing in certain bags, I know that it's potential that, because I'm not slow, it's something probably for our anniversary, I hope. And likewise with her seeing me moving around, there's times that I'm moving, I'm like, if she asks me a question, well, babe, what are you? I don't want to lie to her, but it's I'm going here, or I'll be right back. And if I come back, I gotta ease things in our home, because of the simple fact we share the same home and we are alone. We know each other, so it's very hard to surprise her. But today, again, I start out by bringing that up by saying it was hard, like, to ask her today, like, what are we going to talk about? Because that's one of our rules. She's like, well, I'll tell you, we're going to talk about our anniversary, we're going to talk about our marriage, but that's about it. Just be real and just be how we normally be, So that, with that said, that's why I didn't know if I was going to say anything right now. I thought you were going to.
Oh, no, I want to actually invite people. So my thought is for tonight, our thought for tonight is to take you through a little gallery walk of some of the moments in our relationship, to use that as, talking points to discuss some of the things that we've encountered, that our family encountered, how incarceration really harmed our marriage. Because I think people just have a very media-centric view of what incarceration is, what it does to families, what it tries to do to families, what it means to be separated, the impact that it has on familial relationships, particularly the marriage relationship, partnerships. It's very challenging. And it was challenging for us, even though John and I don't share any biological children together. We both have a child or children from previous relationships, and then we have a blended family, and our children were older when we decided to get married. Our youngest was 16, and you'll see, you met Sarita on an earlier broadcast. You can check that out. I think it was like 2 weeks ago. She was a guest. You can definitely meet Sarita through that broadcast, and we have some pictures of her today. But I want to invite you to ask us questions as well, because we are really committed to being honest, to being transparent. We are God-fearing people. We believe in God, and we know that we've gone through the things we've gone through, not for only our benefit, but to help others. And by sharing and being honest, that somehow in our transparency, someone will garner the strength that they need to move forward. So yeah, ask your questions in the comments, and I'll receive them in the chat here, and we will answer them. So Sasha, could you start? That's our producer. Could you start our slideshow, please? Thank you. Let me move this chat. So John, do you want to talk first? You remember? Because he doesn't even know the photos that I chose, and I didn't even choose all of them, because maybe we'll have a part two.
I would have chose some other photos.
Oh, well. You still can.
I would have.
If you want.
It's good. It's good. Speak about those particular photos?
Yes, if you would like to. It's up to you. No?
No, it's not that.
No?
I'm just thinking. I know the time, and I remember this time with that city scenery. It was at a time that we kept getting the same background. For those who don't know, when you're in prison, things pretty much stay the same. They like you to have the same uniform, everything the same. They really want you to be like, because it's definitely not like a private school, but they would want you to be like a robot in a sense, and they want those Groundhog Days for you, so to speak. So with that being said, that was a big moment for us when we had the background change, because there was something else up there. I don't even remember unless I probably see it, but there was something up there for a period of time, a long period of time. So that day had added just added a different dynamic to our time that we had that moment.
So I love this picture of us. That's why I chose it. I love how you look. I love just how I'm like in your arms. So to kind of set the stage, to set the stage, as John said, the background is a really big deal, because for a stretch of time, all our Polaroids are the same. And that's the kind of pictures that we took. You get Polaroid pictures. You have to pay for them with tickets. A lot of times, so the person who's incarcerated could get tickets themselves, or when you come on the visit, you as their visitor could get tickets, right? But a lot of times the machine was broken when you got tickets, or you had to have singles, or it wouldn't take your singles, or there were always obstacles and problems. And then you wanted more than one because you couldn't take a copy of it. You're not allowed to bring your phones into the visiting room. So it's not like you could do like what we do now, take a picture of a picture and send it. So we would have to take more than one, or sometimes if we didn't have enough money, we would just take one and say, well, John, you keep it this time and enjoy it, and then mail it to me. And, we did that. So even a picture held so much value to us, because it was a part of us being connected, staying connected, because prison really tried to destroy our marriage, our union. It's like no one was rooting for us. And I say that with pause, because so we decided to get married. We weren't married yet in the picture on the left. I had just come up to, we started reacquainting ourselves with each other, right? Because we knew each other.
No, I think we were together at that time.
We were together at this time. This wasn't our first picture together, but it was early on.
Early on what?
Early on in our relationship.
This particular picture?
The one on the left, yeah. No?
I'm not certain. I know, no, that wasn't even early on with Sarita. She came up before that.
Oh, so maybe I chose the wrong one.
Or maybe this picture she came up. You're right. That one is when no.
It's been a while.
We have a lot of pictures though.
I know.
But
and I said I would write.
I think Sarita was a little bit younger. Like it didn't seem like she came up that day.
This was
the first time when she came up?
Yeah. But I'm talking about this one.
But that picture was not. Yeah. We were together already.
Yeah.
Once Sarita came up, I believe we were already together.
Yeah. We were together.
We were together already.
But she hadn't met him, so it was really the next picture was super important that, because we had children already, that our children knew about our intentions, even though they were older, even though John was in prison. So it's not like he would be coming home to live with us, but eventually he would. Eventually he did. Mm-hmm. So it was really important that Sarita and John started to build a bond, as well as John's daughter and Alexis and I, for us to start to build a bond too, which we did. We did. So it was hard though. It was really challenging. You want to speak about that?
Well, with how we blended our family, or about
anything
us
that you
together,
want to
like
talk
our
about.
Anniversary and what it means, maybe. Oh, I think what people may want to hear is how do we maintain our marriage? This picture right here is the second picture, the second day that Vivett came up and I asked her to marry me. Now, some may say, well, why would you ask this woman to marry you on the second day? Or why would she even entertain such a proposal? Where we're at, that whole
being in prison. Let's just call it what it is. It's not where we're at. Like just prison. Why would you want to marry someone who's in prison? Which is what most people ask.
But what they didn't know was that when I asked her, before I asked her to marry me that day, I was interviewing Vivett as she was interviewing me, and I think that's the misconception that a lot of people have on people that's locked up. As if a man or a woman that's locked up doesn't have any standards or don't see themselves in a certain light and to say, well, I know my worth as well. Yes, I'm in a precarious predicament. It's a lot of variables, a lot of things that come with prison. However, I know my worth and this is what I'm looking for. The first thing I asked Vivett was, one of the first things. Well, matter of fact, before I asked her some of the interview questions, we were getting reconnected because we knew each other. Mm-hmm. So that was one value. I'd already had standards. That was my values. I'm not going to speak to somebody that I don't know. I wasn't looking for a pen pal in prison to just meet anybody, because then I would have to know a lot of things. And I would have to know, for one, because I'm a heterosexual, were you really a woman, born as a woman because of the times now? I would have to also know, do you, how your family, how are you with family? How is your health? A lot of things that I am particular about, and those are my morals and values. So do she believe in God came in later. As we started reconnecting, like, okay, I'm getting serious with this woman. She's writing long letters. I'm writing long letters. She's matching me with that and outmatching me with some of those long letters that she wrote that I was very impressed by. Because
that's really how we built.
That was really something. The
our bond, like the letters. That's a huge, important part. Our letters together, visits. Which we call dates, because those are the equivalent of our dates, which when you think about it, there's no if you're dating someone who's outside, he could take you on dates to the movies. You're not, for example, you're not really getting to know each other that well because it's quiet. You're not really talking to each other. There are a lot of dates that have a lot of fillers in them. So there's not much time to get to know the person. And one of the things that, I liked with John was that in our time together, it was 5 hours. Say I would reach the prison. By the time I went through all the preliminaries of getting in and sat down in the visiting room, and John came down and we met, we had about 4 hours together, 4 to 5 hours, right? From 9 until 2:45. So it was sometimes going once a week, twice a week, on the weekend. We had a lot of time to get to know each other. And So when he did ask me to marry him, I was surprised, but not all the way, because I could tell by the depth of our conversations that things had really progressed. And although he was in prison, I was still very hopeful that he would come home one day, and that our marriage wouldn't always be, our relationship wouldn't always be with us apart, you know. And so we were asking questions like, well, you know, how do you eat? What do you eat? Things that we know as adults now, like certain things aren't going to work. Like if you smoke cigarettes, it's not going to work for me, because I'm not going to be with someone who smokes. It's just a deal breaker. So we were having these conversations, and I think that's something I would recommend, like a practical application of something we did in our courtship and marriage that helped, was just setting aside time to really talk. Like no TV, no nothing. Like it's nothing for us to just come on the couch and sit down and chill and talk, because that was the foundation of our marriage.
Yes, exactly. I want to speak about this picture here for the viewers that's looking at, well, seeing this display. This picture was something that I just saw these pictures because I just, you know, from coming home, because I didn't have a chance to see. It was no reason at the time, but Vivett was telling me what was going on. But I did know about the support system.
Yes.
Sort of what we're doing tonight, trying to give you some support in your marriage, or encouragement for those that are going through what we've already went through, going through
having
with being in prison. Yes, an incarcerated marriage. But also people that's even in their marriage and in quarantine right now, knowing and learning about your significant other it's a different depth that you're going to learn about them now, because you're with them 24 hours pretty much, or you're going to different parts of the room, or areas of space if you have that in the availability in your home. So with that being said, these young women, these young ladies, they were also married, and they're still married. They were married with comrades of mine that were locked up, and some are still locked up. Some of the gentlemen are still locked up, but they had made, and you should talk about it. I don't want to tell the title of the group.
No, so the support system were these women who, as John said, also had husbands who were incarcerated, either formerly or currently. And during that time, we all had husbands who were incarcerated. But the thing is, when you're going like to visit someone, you learn like not to talk too much, not to really make friends too much, because you don't know the angle. You don't know, like you might be cool with a wife, but are the husbands cool inside? Are you going to say something that he might not necessarily want someone inside the prison with him to know about him? So it's really like amazing to me that these women befriended me. These are women who have been doing bids with their husbands for years, some decades. And so there were several moments along this journey, I'm not even going to lie to you, I was ready to go. Up until the day we got married, the person who we chose to be our witness flaked on me. Now, I was taking the Metro North to Sing Sing Correctional Facility. So that in and of itself, public transportation to get up there was a whole big thing. I'm calling my girl like, oh, you ready? Because I need you there. I need the witness. She wasn't answering my call. So I'll imagine on your wedding day, you don't have your witness. I felt like everything that could go wrong is going wrong. So then I had to call the pastor to say, because we just found someone who had a church up close by so they could make it, to say, well, the witness is not here. Is there anything you could do to help us? But that wouldn't happen, because if only the names of the people who were there on the paperwork, that's who was going to be involved. Long story short, we ended up getting married on the day we put down, May 28th, 2016. But it was a correctional officer in the prison who saw the situation going down, saw like, listen, y'all are not going to get married today if your witness doesn't come. That's it. And prison's not a place where they're eager to bend the rules for you or look out to you. Like, no one really cares if you get married or you don't get married. That's your business. But this officer did. I won't say the officer's name to protect the officer's privacy, but that officer did step up and say, I've observed your relationship, right, the whole time you've been here. Go ahead.
Yeah, because look, now this turns into like how the Bible could be. There's many people that record the same story, but it's amazing how they're viewing their perspective.
Okay, what's your perspective of it?
And perspective could be. Because I vividly
Let me hear
remember.
this now.
That's right. I vividly remember everything Vivett said. Yes, that did happen. But Vivett was as she should be, because a woman's supposed to be very, well, everybody's supposed to be
too,
happy.
Yeah,
I didn't finish my sentence. That everybody's supposed to be excited, a joyous occasion. And Vivett was literally going to tears, and not from joy, because of the agony, the anxiety, the all of this that was transpiring, where it all fell on faith. And Vivett was losing sight at that time. And this is something I think that's key for any marriage. When there's one that's going through something, the other one has to be focused. Both of you cannot be out of focus, because then everything is going to fall. And because she was out of focus, and rightfully so, because look, she's putting everything on her back. She's riding up here, she's coming up here. We didn't have the car at the time, because whatever went with her car. So now she's on public transportation, as she described. I tried to get her a ride to come up there. That didn't work. My friend that I was going to have to be the best man, she was like, oh, don't worry, I got my friend. So we didn't have that as a backup. Then we did have guests come up there, which was my mother and my other friend, which is a close acquaintance of mine. My boy came up, but he couldn't be a witness. Neither could my mom, because of the way that prison is ran. You have to have this documented. You can't just have a fill-in at any given time. It has to be people that are already placed on this program, or whatever's taking place with our ceremony. Having said that, and I'm being a little distracted because our wedding picture's up there. But having said that, what happened? I had to tell Vivett, look at me, please. Come on, don't stop. And she was like, no, forget it. Don't worry about it. We'll get back. But no. She wasn't going to push forward, because she knew from being up there how hard it is when you push forward, and nobody wants to be rejected or pushed back towards, especially also, a person that's free.
Also, to interject, yes, because now these were my feelings about it, that I didn't want to force, like, it's a big deal to marry someone, period. Then to marry someone who's in prison. Like, let's not just glaze over that part. It's a really big decision to make. And so a part of me felt, in relying on my faith, like, listen, don't force the issue. If things are happening to show you like roadblocks are coming, there has to be a level of discernment. Like, well, is this a sign to tell me to stop? Or is this something that I need to forge ahead? Now, John was adamant, like, we need to forge ahead, when, in all honesty, in that moment, I wasn't. Too many things were going wrong, and I surrendered. Like, all right, if it's not gonna work, it's not gonna work.
And I didn't. And that's why I have her now. I didn't. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because I already, like, Vivett was already in a marriage prior to this marriage. I was already in a marriage prior to this marriage. So I knew that there were things like, even how our organization started with Speak Your Truth, there was things I wasn't doing with God at the time. I wasn't being honest. I was lying. I was, and I wasn't lying intentionally, but I was lying to myself. So when you lie to yourself, not with you. When I was, when I'm talking about in our first time with me being married, there were things that I was lying about with myself, with my walk with God. And it was because of, like you said, I'm thinking like, okay, God gave me this woman because maybe I need to be like this. And it was just things that weren't clear to me. So I took it as, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't be as picky as I'm being. Maybe this is the one for me. And one thing I learned, and it was confirmed today. I got confirmation today talking to a friend of mine who was formerly incarcerated this morning. He said, God don't give us give us 50% of what we want. or 40% of what we want, or even 60. He said, give us 100%. That's God. He gives us 100% of what you want, or 100% of what he's always going to give 100%. And I was like, yo, I like that, because that's what I received when I received Vivett. And when I saw her, I said, you know what? Nah, you what? I said, listen, this is who I want. That's how I knew the second day when you came up. I knew that. I said, nah, this is who I want. I want to marry her. I want to be with her. This is who I want to be with forever. It's no games. It's nothing about it. It's no, well, I think like, oh, well, maybe God is just giving me this just to settle for, or this is my, no, I knew it. So now getting back to when we were at the time to get married, when we're going through that process, when Vivett was showing signs, I was familiar with that too, because I believe in that as well, that if that thing's coming, there is a chance that maybe this is not right, or maybe it is being forced. But because I knew for a fact Vivett loved me, and I knew for a fact that I loved her, I said, nah, this is to just seal our faith. This is not about a roadblock. This is not nothing. This is just going to show us that we could get through anything with our faith. And what I did, I kept saying to her, I said, listen, the lady, like even when the lady was asking, the officer that was asking, she was like, do y'all still want to get married? Like maybe I would see about helping. Vivett was like, no. I said, Vivett, do you hear what she said? Because Vivett was so gone. She was gone from there. And
I also wasn't used to receiving kindness like that from an officer. So I thought immediately, like, that just went over me, or that's some kind of setup. I wasn't really like, what are you going to do? Because sometimes they act like they're going to do something where it's just a shuffling of paperwork, but not really doing anything. So you're right. My faith wasn't there, but it ended up, just to like bring the story full circle, it ended up that the officer, like, only an officer with that status, being there for so long, could have made the moves that she did, really to say, I'll be a witness for you. I'm here. I work here. Because there's a security clearance you have to go through, because you get married at a different part of the prison than in the visiting room. And that's not a place where visitors go. So there is like a security clearance part that they check the person whose name was originally intended to be the witness. That's why someone other than that person could not be the witness, but someone who works there is already cleared. And she put herself on the line and walked us through and became our witness and allowed for us to get married.
This was our outcome. This picture right here. You know, it was beautiful. I was grateful that my mom, no one saw us get married.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. Like, you know, of course we're going to get married. We're going to, well, how we
already married.
Not the read vows. This is the other words.
Just kind of like a public ceremony. Because it probably was only us there and really strangers. There was no one, we didn't get to invite people we love and care about, who we want to include in our marriage.
And even that was perfect, that God did. So I got to ride everything on God, because that's what kept me and sustained me. That's who's been keeping me and sustaining me. So I have to make my faith known, because that's a part of me, very much a part of me, very much a part of our marriage.
Yes.
You know, when that happened,
happened?
I was getting ready to say, when that happened, when we got married and everything was happening, going on at that time, even that perspective again, going back to what I was stating about quarantine and about having to deal with each other now. What happened with our faith, it grew stronger, and my perspective, I saw soon as we got married, I already saw, like, okay, not only did we get a blessing there by a lady or anybody just intervening saying they're gonna come, but the other part that God gave me was that we had the best marriage, because guess what? If we had invited what you said with your best friend at the time, coming in to witness, she would have got a chance to witness our marriage. Our family didn't get a chance to witness our marriage, just one person. That's not, that to me, that was unacceptable. I want, when we do have our marriage now, to make, our wedding, I know we're already married. But I know we're married. Everyone knows we're married. But this is good that I have you to remind me, but I know we're married. Oh, it's a few things that went on with our marriage. that I told.
I'm over here like this, y'all. Like, boy, get it together.
I told people today, 5:28. First, let me finish my thought on why I said that. When we have our public ceremony, the public marriage ceremony, is that cool with you? When we have that, okay, to me, everybody's gonna get the same even feeling. They'll be the first time they see us, say our vows in front of each other again. I'm sure we'll have more vows and more words to say at that time, because we're falling deeper and deeper in love. We're learning a lot about each other on a deeper level.
And I want to talk about that part since you said that, because I don't want it by any means to think like, oh, you guys have this great marriage. It's so perfect. Let me be clear. It's a lot of work. Marriage is a lot of work. Being married to someone who's formerly incarcerated adds another layer to an already challenging task. I don't think people talk about the hardships of marriage enough, and why it's so important to have things in place like your faith, like methods of effective communication and understanding and trust and love, why those things need to be incorporated into your marriage if you want to have a fighting chance. Because we've literally had to fight, not literally because we're not physically fighting, but we've had to push past. It hasn't been easy. It really hasn't been easy because, first of all, the support really wasn't there. Could we go back to the previous picture, please? I want to get back to the support, because without the support, we wouldn't have gotten to this part. I'll wait for that to come up. I'll talk about it while we're waiting for that previous picture with the ladies in it. Those ladies were so crucial. They were, because only they really understood. Like they knew what it was to have a husband who was incarcerated, to know what it was to have to leave him, to know what it was to need my husband there and not have him, just the many obstacles that come with that situation. And in all honesty, most people, at least from my side, my husband's side was more open to me. And even then they were skeptical because he had been married before in prison and they had gone through this meeting someone and opening themselves up and then that not working out. They were somewhat hesitant about me. And my circle was like, what are you doing? Honestly, like, why would you marry someone who's in prison? If it wasn't for a few friends, Laverne is a friend who came to the prison with our Pastor Brown, who came up and like, well, if this person is in your life, we want to meet him and get to know him. But other than that, the support wasn't there. It really wasn't there. Could we go back to the previous picture, please, Sasha? I just want to, thank you. Each one of these women just has played such a crucial role in John's and my marriage, in our relationship, from the time that I met them until now. And I was the new kid on the block because they had already been along this walk for a while together, but they were able to lift me up when I was down. My point in saying this is every marriage needs a support system. That's not to say you're talking about all your business and your marriage to people. In all things, you need discernment to know who to say what to. But if you think you're going to go through this by yourself, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't. And without them, honestly, I would not have made it. They found ways to have us come together as a bond, to show sisterhood, to show support. Never once did anyone say, I don't know if it's gonna work, girl. Like there was never any doubt thrown in. Where other friends, well-meaning, like I don't think anyone, even the ones that I felt were insensitive, I don't think anyone ever really was against John. And I think they just had concerns, rightfully so. But it wasn't helpful. They were helpful because they asked questions and they encouraged me and they were living proof. Sometimes you need to see someone. Representation matters. Like because they were going through it, it's like, look, you can go through it. And this is our 4-year anniversary, yes. 2 inside and so far a second outside. So yes. We broke even. anniversary got sterilized, it will be more outside than inside, so.
There's some things that come to mind that you brought up about it not being easy, about the support. For me, I welcomed all the people that Vivett was sort of uneased by what they were saying when they were saying to her, like, oh, this guy's in prison, or because they never knew me or whatever, or it was just so many things that that was being said at times that Vivett would tell me, and I would be like, well, Vivett, that's what's wrong with that? No, but they know me, and she would feel like, well, they know me, they're insulting me, like I don't know who to pick or who to choose to be with. But I was saying to her all the time, like, I understand that, and I'm not against that they're drilling you about me or asking, like, how do you want to be with a person? Because there were times that before I even came with Vivett, got involved with you, right, to even get to courting, I was actually saying to myself, I would never get married again. I definitely don't want to be married inside, prison again. And it's not easy. It's not easy for both parties. And although some people would say, oh, well, you're the one who's benefiting from it. And when you really love a person, you're not benefiting from it the way people may think outside. That's not involved in the prison system. That's not incarcerated. We have to go through a whole different thing as well. Like, I had to go through times of, knowing that I'm not going to be there with my wife, knowing that when things are going to happen or when things happen, like a flat tire or just going grocery shopping, whatever she may need, cuddling at night, which is the obvious. Both her and I have to sleep alone in different beds, and not just for a night or nights, many nights, In fact, you can't even consummate your marriage before you have to wait almost a year. We have to wait before we even go to FRP, which in some instances or some cases, let's say in other states, they don't even have that, for those that are married. So we had to go through that. Those were hard times. But to speed up and to move forward, to get to what I'm getting to now, I would say that I'm sorry. I apologize, but that's real too. But I would say this is that literally today, just like any other time, and even though it's our anniversary, we had something yesterday that we had a big, strong, hard discussion.
We got into an argument yesterday. He's trying. You're not talking plain to the people. You're being too politically correct.
No, I'm being me. I'm being me. That's me. I am politically correct. However,
I'm not. That's me.
No. Listen, it really was something that we went through yesterday, and it was about things that deal with my incarceration. Finances is a big thing dealing with any marriage, and if it always falls back to our foundation, which is God for us, that we allow not to be where we're drunk, where somebody said, oh, you're just a fanatic, or you're just no, we see God in our life so much that we know that what is being done to us, what's happening for us, we can thank God for it. So if we can thank God for him in those times when we're receiving things, we also realize when we're going through something, it's not always bad. It's just something that we got to get through together. So I think what I'm saying is that we're in a place that a lot of times when things happen, we're able to reflect, not just on prison, but just reflect on our faith, reflect on our love, and to know that we got each other. But this here we don't like about each other today.
Yes.
And I think that's
and to be able to say that and be able to own it, to say like, well, why am I like this? Why is this bothering me? What is it bringing up in me? How much of this, because that's the thing, how much of the issues that we have in our marriage are as a result of John's incarceration or as a result of my previous relationships or his previous relationships, our upbringing. There's so many variables involved in a marriage unit, that partnership. It's really important that you have a tool for communicating with each other. And that's something that we did, even though there was a distance between us, a physical distance. We corresponded, and we had marriage counseling through correspondence. We found a pastor, Dr. John Trusty, who had worked with couples before who were involved with incarceration, one or both parties, and counseled us and gave us it was really cool, actually. He gave us a portion of a workbook that I made photocopies from, and I sent some mail to John, and then I filled out mine. And then we would set a date and say, okay, I'm going to mail mine back, and you mail yours, so we could see each other's responses. And we did like Bible studies together, and just things to really see, like, well, where is the person's head at? Because if he wrote crazy stuff down on the marriage counseling stuff, I wasn't going to go through with it, because I had been there before, and I didn't want to, I just didn't want to mess up. I think we both take our partnership, our marriage really seriously. And because we had been married and divorced, we knew like we didn't want to do that. And we know the rates of, there's just so many things stacked against us that we were really mindful about making sure that we're making a right decision. And I still think that we made the right decision.
And what about the healthy relationships class that we took, that they all provided in where I was locked up at? That was before we got married as well, I believe. Like, cause we did a lot of work before we got married.
Like
we knew we were getting married. We had a chance. Like once we said, okay, this is the date. I think we had already had our date already, right?
Not that early in advance. The date was only a few. Maybe a month in advance.
Okay. So then prior to that, we were on this journey knowing that we were going to get married. And we didn't have a date, but we were doing classes together, like Vivett said, with your study that you brought to us. But I brought something to you with the healthy relationships that they offered where I was locked up. And that was great. We had a class, it was a workshop. And you got a certificate from it when you passed it.
That was through the Osborne Association.
That was through Osborne Association, yes.
That's one of the few associations I can say that have really been there for John and I, both
big time,
pre and post incarceration. If you don't know about them, look them up. You're always going to hear us talk about them, because they are really supportive of keeping family connections. And that's really at the crux, the heart, I think. Wait, were you finished saying what you were saying?
No, I'm just in agreement. Shout out to Liz Gaines. I'm just in agreement.
I cut you off.
No, it's all right. I want to say the whole staff over there. But, you know,
they definitely
Allison, Tanya, all of them are good.
Yep. Yes. Melissa, Tennis. They really, when I say helped us, first of all, providing a forum in prison for couples to have ways to maintain or develop a healthy relationship. There are different parts to it. They have things for dads to think, programs for dads to, and this is optional, like they don't have to take it. It's something just to better themselves and to better the relationship, because just imagine your relationship being held together by phone calls. 30-minute phone calls that are often interrupted, very loud. Imagine trying to get out everything you want to say to your partner in 30 minutes. So waiting for his call because I can't call him, and building up all day or whatever time for him to call me, but he has stuff to say to me too. Then there's noise in the background and I'm getting frustrated, and maybe the phone reception is not good because it's old, what do you call those? Landline phones, like pay phones. I don't remember what they're called anymore. They're so obsolete. It was just really, if anything could go wrong, it tried to go wrong. But it was just our commitment, our dedication to our vows to each other that kept us going, you know? So How much time do we have? We have like 10 minutes.
Oh, because I want to.
Did we get any questions?
Oh, because I want to share some tips.
Oh, we can have tips. Okay, tips are good. But if you have questions, I said at the top of the show, like definitely, oh, there you go. If you have questions, share your questions with us in the comments. We're able to get them over and answer them, whether the questions be about us, whether they're about like just marriage, our journey, whatever you'd like to talk about. You know, we tried to cover a lot of things tonight, and this is not how I thought we would be celebrating our 4th anniversary, right? But I'm super happy, right, to be celebrating it like this.
But this is what our marriage became, you know, in a sense. What I mean by that is that giving, you know, it wasn't just a marriage where, yes, we have a personal marriage, it's personalized, we get that, we're one, but our one and our reflection has always been, I couldn't marry no one else better than Vivett, because it's definitely my reflection on a lot of areas of my life, with God, with giving, so caring, sensitive to things and to people's needs, that this is exactly what we would be doing tonight. Even though we would not have planned it, I didn't think we would plan it either. But this definitely is on the path that we've been on together, and wanting to give to other people. It was given to us as well, you know. Which gives me to my tips. What I was going to say.
Oh, nice segue. You're segueing yourself. That was good.
Yeah, right. But I just came up with these things just while we, you know, because when you're in love and when you have a marriage like we have, I'm able to like give it off the cuff. You know, look, this is a tip. This is what I learned. You know, so one of the things that out of many things that I've learned is that you always have to be in love. One person always has to be in love when the other person is acting like something is wrong or something is going on. And it's something that's serious.
I'm glad you clarified that, because I think that notion, like acting like
something really is going wrong.
Sometimes something may be wrong with your spouse, with your partner.
And you doing it. Like I could be doing it to her, and I don't know it.
Unintentionally going both ways, and sometimes intentionally, but sometimes just you being you can rub the person the wrong way. And I think we have this ideological view of marriage, whether it's from the media, whether it's from what, you know, we think marriage is supposed to be like. It's nothing like what anyone ever told me. And I think that's the big impetus for me wanting to share. And as we share more, I mean, we can go more in depth. I would love to have questions so we can like target our responses, but definitely, just knowing that you have someone who's there with you. I always say to John, like, not only do I need to love you, but I need to respect you. I need to respect you. And I think for a lot of marriages, that respect factor is so huge, because it incorporates love. For me, it's a way to love you by respecting you.
Well, now that's deep, but I want to get to.
Let's go back to
I want to get to another tip. No, I can chime in on that.
No, but you tips.
I want to say that with the tips, because I was still going on some of the tips, is that one thing, there's never going to be, it's like with a child, there's never going to be, I think, a set pamphlet or a guide that could tell you exactly what will work and 100%. But what has worked for us, and I think is vital for anybody to do or subscribe to, is being honest, being truthful to yourself, being truthful enough to yourself where you can be honest with that person that you're with. So that way you can get through whatever, like what we're speaking about, when it's intentional. Intentional, what I mean is not intentionally messing with her, intentional, just me being me. Being intentional about what I'm doing that makes me comfortable, and it may rub Vivett the wrong way. Likewise, some things she may do may rub me the wrong way, but it's how we approach it. Our tone is very important. I always say this, I never want to be so nice at work or outside to strangers, but not coming home giving my wife or my children that voice. you know, the voice that some people say, oh, this is the office or the corporate voice. No, I'm not saying to don't let your hair down, but at home, I definitely want to give my best to my wife. I want to be able to give my best to my children. I want to be able to speak to them in a tone, in a loving tone, in a caring tone, and all those things that you do sometimes when people go to places of worship and stuff. I just say, practice that at home.
But how do you do that when the person, like you said, is really getting on your nerves? That's the other, because what you're saying sounds cute and it sounds nice and it's so like, to me, esoteric and we're just nice. Yeah. I'm not built like that. I'm not just nice like that. There are times when I'm ready to be like,
You're not.
So now
but I am. You're not, but I am. Yeah, that's the no. That's the key. You're not, and it's not that you're a bad person. You just you say the way you speak, the way you speak. Me, I've been able to, cause I've been doing this work for myself. It's not to slight my wife. My wife is super intelligent. I don't have to give her all the credentials and how she handles herself. But you're amazing in the way you handle yourself. For me, when I see you going through that, what gets me over is what got me over for all those years while I was incarcerated is love. Love that I know how I feel for a person. So when I know that I feel the way I feel for you, like I love you, that immediately, whatever is going on, I'm like, I love her and I know I love you. I know she loves me. This is just another part of you. So she's going through a thing. It's not to say that it's something I want to hear or that I like, but I understand it. And I'm able to sit back and remove myself and be present with you, but to be able to remove the feelings from me in a sense of whatever's irritating, like, oh, is this troubling me? And then I ask, wait a minute, it's troubling you because what? Because maybe she's right, or maybe it's something that I need to look into a little bit more, but I'm cool with that. I love her. And this leads me to my tip. What I do when I get upset with Vivett, and she's, which is very rare that I get too upset with her, to be honest. But when I do get upset with her, I'm like, I'm going out. And I'll go out and I'll go shopping like for her. I'll go and find something that I want to buy her or something that I didn't will, and I'll come back and I'll come and surprise. I'll come and surprise her. I'll come and surprise her with stuff. And when I remember the first time I did it and I came back, we had a big discussion and you were going in and I said, all right, I'm leaving. I left and I went out and I came back and she said, what's this? I was like, this is for you, you know, and I explained my thought process. Mm-hmm. You know, I never, and I would recommend for anybody, whether man or woman, but I'm particularly speaking to men because I'm a man, right? So I speak to the men that when you go through, when you go through, men telling women what to do. Yeah, I'm like the women. So what I suggest for men that are married, don't call nobody that's not of good counsel when you're going through something. You know I got bros that's like my brothers. I wouldn't call some of them for advice with my wife because they may just have my time, my interest, my best interest. And they may say things like Vivett was experiencing with her friends. Why are you going to marry this friend? Why are you going? It's in the best interest, but it may not be best for what we're speaking about with our marriage. And I would never, ever suggest if you have a woman friend or somebody that you call one of them. There's no need to do that. What I've chose to do for myself is that when I get in that place, let me find out, why did I fall in love with this woman? And I love her. I know she loves me. Let me see if I could take myself to go buy some things for her. And you don't have to buy things where it's monetary things, but that's what I did. That's what I chose to do. And that's one of my tips. That's what works for me. That's what works for me. For me,
it works to an extent, but how you get her is how you have to keep her. So the gifts, it was really amazing for me where John was buying gifts and through, people sending money, denying himself things in prison so he could use money from his commissary to buy me things. I would come home to have flowers. I would have little things. But then, and this ties into the financial part now, I'm going to be a little bit more transparent where when he couldn't maintain it, it became a problem. Mm-hmm. And when he came out, now let's get into the marriage post. Yes. Now we've talked a lot about the during your incarceration, but I think the reentry process in marriage, that has been the most difficult time, perhaps more difficult for me than the separation. I thought the separation of prison was horrible, and it was horrible. But this portion now is just a different kind of learning, because he wasn't able to maintain for a while. And I had to be like, yo, you were doing more when you were inside, because you didn't have an understanding of how much things cost out here. And John had a really great support system inside. So it was nothing for him to say, not nothing, but it definitely was easier for him to call these longtime friends and family and say, listen, I need you to do X, Y, Z for Vivett. And they would do it. But now once that was gone and he had to do it, and I'm there like, okay, so this is how it's going to be. And it wasn't like that. We started to have more conversations about our finances, and financial hardship is one of the biggest hardships that incarceration puts on a marriage, puts on a family who's dealing with incarceration. And that's definitely something we can talk about in the future, because I think when we talk about all the things that families go through, and that includes like us parents, we can't discuss these things without looking at the financial aspect. I just don't think it's prudent. And the fact that finances do affect marriages, sex affects marriages. So we've shared with you even tonight, we were not able to consummate our marriage until almost a year afterwards. So that in and of itself is very, very challenging. Yeah. And then to deal with the financial part, where there's a need for financial literacy on both of our parts, that became has been a challenge for us too. So, but it's been great, because we had an argument yesterday, and I was like, Dad, this is gonna mess up a whole anniversary. I haven't said that to him, like, you're messing up the anniversary, because I had it all, mapped out the way I wanted it. But as always, God has his way that he wants it to work out, and it worked out that way. And here we are, and we've had a great day so far, and I'm really happy. Sorry, babe.
No.
I'm happy we got to share it with everyone, is what I was gonna say, because I am happy that this is how we're spending this portion of our anniversary together.
I am too. I'm happy that we're able to be for real and give you not just something to think about, but I just hope that it's some way to start that discussion. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times we don't get a chance to really see the real person, and it's not because people are lying. Sometimes you don't even, like I was telling Vivett yesterday, I think it was, that you don't even know who you are at times until you're faced with something that is so traumatic, maybe at times, or maybe not even traumatic. It may be just something that you're going through that it brings out something that you didn't even know exists in you. Mm-hmm. That's something that I believe marriage does. Mm-hmm. And with that, I'm grateful that we're on this journey together and that we're learning about that together.
Absolutely.
But I would love to talk about the financial literacy next time, and about the troubles and the things that we've been going through with that.
I mean, definitely we can talk about that, and that covers, it's not just marriage. National Parents Union, I think it would be unwise of any organization to not talk about finances, because they are a big part of what's going on in any relationship. It's important. So on that note, we just want to thank you for joining us, for spending this time of our, he's kissing me because he was about to answer his phone while we're on air, and then I did a little tap, don't do that, please, because then the head's going to be down, and so that's what's going on. You were looking, and then the people are going to see that, and so this is us speaking our truth, being real. Happy anniversary. Thank you for joining us. We will see you again on NPU Live Presents Speak Your Truth. We'll be here again we won't be here this Monday. We'll be here next week, Thursday. Okay, next week, Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. we really do hope you'll join us. We really hope this was beneficial for you. It was great to share with you, and just be blessed and know that there's power in speaking your truth. It really is. So do that and take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.